intermarriages zimefanyika hapo kwa community. Classmates wenye umekuwa naye. Ukienda church. Kwani unaenda church ya nini ya tribe moja? Yes. Yo chama.
Mko kabila yote. And it's really amazing.
So let's remember tupende jirani election bila noma. Hii message imeletwa kwako na Standard Group in partnership with National Cohesion and Integration Commission. NCIC.
Asante sana. Let's maintain peace. Hapa kwa studio tuna guests na we are about to kick off a conversation. Yes, we have a very, very serious panel hapa. Nitaacha introduce one of them. This is the second time wamekuja. And they're also in politics deep in the ocean.
Yeah, man.
And I'll start on my left hand side hapa hivi. Mesh, karibu sana.
Asante.
Introduce yourself again. Ambia ma MVPs umerudi manze.
Asante sana, niko area. Niko inadi tena
mkia. Noma.
Noma sana.
Yeah, kwa majina ni Kenneth Nyamwamu na mimi ni mgombeaji wa kiti ya governor hapa Nairobi.
Wewe ndio kinara wa party yako kwa sababu kwa jina hapo wewe ni kinara.
Mimi ni kinara tu lakini sio party yako.
Karibu sana.
Good to have you in studio.
Thank you very much for having us and having me. Naitwa John Muisio Musila. And I am running to be MCA Lindy Ward in Kibra constituency ya Nairobi County.
Noma sana. Lindy Ward. Lindy Ward iko area gani hiyo hapo Kibra?
Tuseme tu ndo mahali katikati kabisa ya Kibra.
Inside hapo katikati.
Sasa tuko surrounded. Makina hapo line saba pale, Nyayo Aires pande nyingine hiyo ni Langata. And then Sarangombe on the other end. So sisi ndo tuko hapo katikati. Otherwise ukiwa yes. So ukiwa NHC Langata, the word you see right ahead of you ndo hapo ndo sisi.
Gentlemen, let's start the debate. First things first, right?
Yeah.
Kenneth, you've attended a debate,
yes,
right? You actually were in the last gubernatorial debate. We asked the question why they tier the debate, right? And from Zubeida, who shared with us, they said it's because to give you a chance, especially the ones who are not really well known, a chance to air your issues, right? This last debate. One candidate said, I'm not going to attend because you tier this debate. What are your thoughts?
On the contrary, I agree with Wajakoya wholeheartedly. There were only 4 candidates. They're on the same ballot. I don't know why they have to tier them. So yesterday we have a situation where one tier has one person, the other tier also has one person. So I raised the issue.
Yeah.
When we had the debate, we also tiered. It didn't make sense to go and then 2 in one debate. So, I mean, we're on the same ballot. And the issue of tiering is because wanataka waigawe ndio watu waweze kuongea. Lakini sasa ukiweka watu 7 place moja alafu weke wawili, what are you doing? Hii ingine ya jana, there were only 4. In fact, they ended up being 2.
Yeah.
Why do you tier a debate when you only have 2 people?
So unasema wangekuwa pamoja tu, yani wangekuwa kwa platform moja.
They are all presidential candidates.
So was Wajakoya right to say, because I've given this ultimatum, na in fact walisema they got no response. Zero response from their statement after. Wanasema nobody responded to them from Media Council of Kenya. So were they right to show up at the venue and demand, say if we're not going to be met at our terms, then mukai?
So unajua Wajakoya akisema tu na asitokea, asema unaona naringa nini. So it sends a bad message to the voters ambao ni watu unajaribu kureach. It sends a bad message. So Wajakoya try to use the diplomatic way. Tumeandika barua, this is what there was no response. At least wangeandika waseme hii ndio policy yetu, even inakuwa, but I didn't feel the debate commission respected his views or his stand. So wakaona wasimjibu.
So jana hiyo ilikuwa debate ama ilikuwa interrogation?
Monologue.
What was it?
Go ahead.
It ended out to become just an interview. Because again you realize, and I'm following up on what you just mentioned, that they gave a response that it was to give Wajakoya and the other guy Mwaure an opportunity to speak to their people. Now imagine these 2 people seated in the same podium with the other 2 where everyone is glued on the screens. So the way they tiered it, again you live and limit the number of people watching that show because they don't feel like these are favorite candidates. So it really does not make sense on cheering. However, yesterday was not as much a bad thing. It happened. Those who didn't show up. But Wajakoya was rightful to say, we are only 4 of us. We are here not to debate our different personalities. We are here to defend the manifestos and to tell the people of Kenya what we have to offer them when we are sent to the presidency. Why don't we give us a platform to just debate together? Because I bet Wajakoya has questions to ask the other candidates or even a challenge to them. And if they're on the same podium, it is far much easier to bring these questions forth.
Okay. Now let's talk. I mean, we're going to of course talk about Raila Amolo Odinga, who is Azimio presidential candidate who opted not to attend this. He gave his reasons, but of course the public has their own reasons, right, as to why, you know, there's all this rhetoric on the internet. But what are your thoughts? For Yeyaki decided, okay, I'm not taking part in this. And remember, in 2017, Mazi pia alikuwa anafanya monologue.
Ndio hiyo nakwambia, in 2017 tu, hiyo vitu alikuwa naongea ilikuwa sarakasi. But it's just payback time. 2017, they left him in the cold, alikuwa in the opposition. Sasa, we have a unique situation where a vice president is sort of in the opposition. So pia that's the same treatment alipewa. Has nothing to do with his moral whatever anasema.
So are you saying okay?
No,
not really are you saying. What I'm saying is unadhani sasa ilipatia Raila an opportunity to distance himself from Jubilee failures, because najua au moderators wange align waseme you didn't really advise the president well nini. So was it a good move?
I had nothing to do with that. I mean, Ruto amekuwa vice president for how long? See, over 10 years. So, so are you going to pin so quote-unquote failures at Jubilee on wrong advice ya Raila ambaye amekuwa? When was the handshake? 2017. 3 years ago. Na huyu jamaa mwingine amekuwa kwa that party for
what apparently Raila was playing an advisory role, advice preso in terms of, you know, matters called
na unaweza sema hiyo handshake ndio ilisambaratisha hiyo relationship kati ya deputy president na, kwa sababu if you're talking about owning hizo failures and we spoke about it,
walikuwa shako sana before hata walikuwa shako sana hii advice ya Raila covid nini hizo kwa siasa tunaziita talking points. Hizo ni talking points. I mean, Ruto has to have kitu ya kuambia wa Kenya why he decided to campaign kabla kampeni ijafunguliwa akaanza kukampeni, akaanza kukimbia. Alikuwa na ambitions zake ambayo which was to run for presidency, tunaelewa. But you have to have talking points. Na
Musio, what are your thoughts on this? Kwa sababu umesikia hapa Kevin anauliza, is it kwa sababu alikuwa anafikiria hizi ma failures za Jubilee zitakuwa? If you notice, vice president pia deputy rather Karua alijipata hapo akijibu mashtaka za Uhuru, you know, and
I will choose not to look at it from now after the handshake. Let us look at the genesis of the debates. The debates in 2013 were attended full house because everyone was running on a clean slate. Nobody has ever been president, or however much Raila was in the opposition, ilikuwa ana mambo mengi. In 2017, the context was very different. Uhuru and Ruto were already in government and serving. And so it was easy for them to even justify that. Why would we still need to come and speak the same things we've been doing and people can see on a panel? But then in these year's elections, however much that I am a Wiper member, I am an Azimio member, and I really wanted my president to be there, it feels really sad because he has painted to the nation, and especially on the other function, a person who's a project of the state. Because if you do not show up and speak to your people and you're intending to take to the throne, and you're playing the game that the government played in 2017, it looks really bad. So I would say that the absence of Raila yesterday to me was not a good thing. The people who advised him on that misadvised him.
But in his affect venye the voters wanafikiria juu yake.
Why would I say it would affect? We are looking at a situation now that all polls say that 40% of the voters are undecided. So if 40% of the 22 million, that is a very big number of people that would be easily convinced by your presence and by the way you try to just bring on issues. So it will affect a lot of things. So it would have been far much better for him to come
to attend.
Because again, look, he said he was going to have a town hall where it was going to be televised, but nothing was televised, and the town hall was not there. So you've again told lies. I mean, I'm supporting Raila, but that was not a good move yesterday.
All right, now let's talk about the ones who are actually. Let's not talk about asiyekuwapo na yake. Let's talk about when walikuwa kwa podium. Now, before we talk about Ruto, because a lot has been, I want us to talk about David Maure. Kevin has some thoughts.
I was telling Sheila earlier, nilikuwa nasema David Maure, according to what I was seeing, nika hata lewi manifesto yake poa sana. His communication is just all over the place. My thing is, okay. What are your thoughts?
Gentlemen, have we seen Agano's manifesto?
It sounded like he was preaching. I don't know.
Yeah, he's all over the place.
In fact, he mentioned truisms. Exactly. I will clear corruption. Let's a new slate, fresh. But how plausible are these things that he's mentioning?
The presidential candidate is all over the place. But na agree na wewe. You know, sometimes unaandika hii inafanyikianga politicians. Unaandika kama manifesto. Ukifika pale bright lights na kutuanga, everything goes off the window. So you just babble, unapiga word salad, and hiyo ndio nilikuwa nasikia jana.
So you did not you feel like he was all over the place?
He's way all over the place. Maybe, I don't know if this is his first time running.
You think
no, this is not.
It is not a first time.
He's a fifth time.
Time.
And he actually said, he mentioned that because this came out like, dude, umeushindwa huku pale. You know, he was supposed to be running for senator last election. He ran for senator of Lamu. Akasema hiyo senator ilipelekwa kota, he was rigged out, right? He was supposed to be the senator. But anyway, he's of course being asked on that. Kama umeshindwa senator, President Ndoteza akasema Abraham Lincoln mwenyewe ran 13 times before he got the seat. So he's very optimistic. But he also had a couple of things in Alisema. One, he's an example of the fact that any Kenyan can run for presidency. What are your thoughts on that? I think he has shown that. That any Kenyan can. He also says that his competitors, one of them has and still is the deputy president, and the other one, the things he's saying he can do are things he could have done. What are your thoughts? Anasema Ruto, for example, who's the deputy president running, hizi vitu zote zenye anasema utadu ungezidu.
Let me first.
And he also mentioned Azimio, who have shared a government. Hizi vitu zote zenye unasema ungefanya kwa hiyo government.
I think from his outfit, Maure is a religious person, and we all know what religion is. Religion wants to paint a picture where things are ideal, and that is what he's trying to bring in government. So however much he's trying to push an agenda, back at his mind is saying, if we finish corruption, which we intend to, then things will be running smoothly. And so it is very easy to just pin down his all agendas to religion, that we're going to build a society that is ideal, which we all know practically is almost impossible. However, we want to look at the gaps in the constitution when answering to the question of the deputy president will have done. And you heard him keep saying that the buck stops with the president, however much that is in the presidency. The constitution is very clear that the deputy president is the primary assistant. So unless delegated, because there are no stipulated roles of the deputy president, and he has no ascending powers to any policies unless now the president has delegated, either because of health or not being in a position to do this. So you realize in the first term he was again all over the country because he was delegated a lot of roles as supervisory, and not controlling much of it. And so if we were to go down and say we want to tie down people to responsibilities, I'm not saying we must bring the conversation of amending the constitution now, but we should look at ways of giving the deputy president specific roles in such a way that we will be able to pin him down to some of the things. But why am I saying this? Is because if the relationship of the presidency is not good, the deputy will be advising the president. If the president does not do anything about it, the
so unasema kuna lawama kitu, the failure is tied to both of them.
Yeah, of course the failure is tied to both of them, but then you realize he could have done his part, only that it will not come to the general public that he has done his part. And that is why most of the reactions from Ruto were just I did my best advising.
Yeah, but he was AWOL. He was AWOL the last nini hata he needs to return some of his salary.
But amesema it comes from if your boss delegates jobs to you.
Deputy president akona job anafanya. He has an office, he has a budget. What changed from the first term ile walikuwa naye kakuja hapa? What changed?
Sana sema sale handshake ilifanyika, sasa akakuwa the out.
He wasn't put out. He put himself out because he was against the handshake. When you are against peace, people have been fighting hizi nini zote. Sema tusalamiane mazee, tufanye kazi pamoja. Wewe unasikia mbaya because that is what was giving him political mileage all this time, being an anti-Raila crusader. So Raila amekuja kwa camp, I have nothing else to do. Ile kitu ambayo that Ruto needs to be taken to task with is why are you so much against handshake? Watu wakisalamiana, people been fighting hii miaka yote.
I want to bring you back
why
to my question. My question is, we're talking about Maure. Nyinyi tunaongea Maure, mnaongea Ruto. And even in, because these are Maure sentiments. Anasema, and I'd love to hear what you have to say. Anasema, really wamekuwa. In fact, if anything, me na Wajakoya are the fresh faces, yeah? Kama unaongea corruption, and he mentioned who in this government any deputy president. And I like what you've said, that the failures wako pamoja. 50-50 government for Rao in the previous, where he was the deputy, he was the prime minister. So anasema, how will these two people, what are offer nini? And then also to top it off, akasema, when it comes to, he's going to sever ties, diplomatic ties with countries zenye ziko na pesa zetu, offshore stolen trillions. Amesema turakatana friendship, hatutaki, tupatie pesa yetu.
Okay, kitu number one, what's his name?
David Maure.
Yeah. Honorable Maure, he does a good criticism for they were in the government. That's true. And they failed. But he doesn't offer the solution to corruption. Kusavia two ties za corruption za huko inje doesn't really solve the issue of corruption. Hapa hakuoffer solution ambaye ukiiba pesa, what's done to you? Anataka watu waibe ikienda huko, and then he severe ties. How are you going to fully eliminate corruption hapa Kenya kama you are not offering solutions za kuziba hizo loopholes? Hiyo ndio issue niko naye.
What about in terms of vile Ruto alikuwa na articulate solutions zake? Did you get a sense that anaweza handle history ya integrity, corruption? What was your feel ukiangalia his plans?
Ruto for me reminds me of a preacher who tells you, hey, don't do this, and the preacher does the very same thing he's telling you not to do. tutafanya hii. I can go back to the genesis of by the way, kulingana na vile naongea miama nazimio guy, but we can go back to mpaka ile time Ruto alikuwa agriculture minister. Let's go back huko. Anasema we are going to do this, tutapromote our. He is solely responsible for bei ya fertilizer kukua mahali iko sahi. He's solely responsible. When he tunaenda back when he was agriculture minister. So hizi vitu zimefanyika huko, akakuja akakuwa deputy president. There were all manner of issues in terms of integrity, in terms of ufisadi.
Wacha tuongee kwanza hiyo ufisadi. Kuna swali directly yenye ilitumwa kwake. I want to play you some clips, reactions, and then you give me your reaction of what he said. Was it a satisfactory answer? Also kumbuka kwa wale ambao wanatusikiza, tuna streaming live on Facebook. We are at Vibes Radio KE. Kanyamarero anasema, in fact, many Kenyans never had the debate because they have no radios nor TV. So Raila missing never changed anything. What are your thoughts on that? We'll hear your comment. All right, let's start off na swali. Big questions aliulizwa, and I have to say kudos to Yvonne Okwara and Eric Latte for really steering the ship, right? swali ya kwanza ilikuwa Kimwarer and Aror Dam.
But you said around 2019 that it was 7 billion shillings that was lost.
No,
not
I
the
didn't say that.
21 that was being alleged by the DPP.
I didn't say that. Check my statement. I am very clear about what I said. I said 7 billion shillings was paid. Right? That's what I said. And for your information, I said that 7 billion shillings that was paid was actually insured. The reason we should be asking is, why hasn't the person, the company who insured that money, why haven't they been asked to pay? Because the company that insured that 7 billion is a well-connected company. That's why the demand letter has not been put to them.
So what you're alleging...
And you see, Kenyans will one day really marvel at what really happened in this Kimwarer and Aror Dam. You will be shocked.
Tell us what really happened, because what it sounds like is you're alleging the investigating authorities, the DPP, the courts. There are suspects in court at the time, including former Cabinet Secretary Rotich, who I believe was charged afresh a couple of months ago over this issue. If this is all politically instigated, are you then saying that all of these authorities, different arms of government, are conspiring against you, from investigators to the DPP to the courts, to punish you, Honorable Ruto?
Let me ask you. That matter has now been in court for 4 years. It has not moved an inch. It's been dancing. You know, this person today, you're being charged tomorrow.
Very interesting comment hapo juu ya Kimwarer. What are your thoughts, gentlemen?
If Ruto was my pastor, I'd be looking for a different pastor. Hey. That's all I'll say.
Why? Amejibu hapo, alisema it was not stolen. I said it was paid.
But what was delivered? Like, who was it paid to? What was delivered? Hiyo dam, okay, 7 billion ililipwa. Ililipiwa nani? Ilienda wapi? Because that dam was never completed.
Yeah.
So who took that money? Is that the same as being sahi years after? See, it's the same thing ya kusema 7 billion was lost.
So you're saying Ruto, are you honest?
No, he's not.
John, unaonaje mazeo maneno?
I don't know how to interpret this, but I bet that in this statement we see a lot of things. That if you've not worked in the government, and I think in government people take very serious oaths of secrecy, that details remain with the detail owners. So he says very clearly that the money was paid, but we've not seen any delivery of service. So as Kenyans, we want to ask an accountability question, that this is our money, this is taxpayers' money, and you're telling us very confidently it's been paid. But then where is the service?
And
we've not even seen proper groundbreaking on these dams.
What's even interesting is how he continued to explain that how Kenyans are losing money on these projects and the mismanagement, and he takes it upon himself to say, in my government, these are some of the things that we will stop. Right? So I want to ask you, gentlemen, now that we know that you're asking the questions, who was it paid to, right? Who are we supposed to be holding accountable? Ni nani tunafaa tukua tukiuliza hizi maswali?
This project was directly put under Ruto's wing. So if there's anybody who needs to answer those questions, it's Ruto.
Na sasa anasema hiyo project ili withdrawiwa, right, to punish him. And remember, there are actually livelihoods and lives depending on these dams, right? And you had the answer. What are your thoughts on that? Anasema these projects zinatumiwa kunipiga.
Let us first hold the right people accountable. We all know that in this country we have 3 arms of government. We have an independent executive, an independent legislature, and an independent judiciary. However, in this country, the legislature looks just like a wing of the executive. And so what the president and party leaders of the majority parliamentarians say is what is voted in without proper interrogation and debating. And so when money is lost, taxpayers' money, who is supposed to hold the executive wing, which is the implementing wing of government projects, accountable? It is the legislator, and we're talking about members of parliament. So you could be voted in as Wiper, voted in as Jubilee, voted in as whatever party, but the very moment you get into the legislature, into parliament, you become an arm of government that should be independent, so that you can now keep check of the government of the day, the executive.
So you're saying
wing.
Who has let us down on this
So
one? Who should
I
we
can
be asking these
say
questions?
Is that the 12th, the 13th parliament has let Kenyans down.
Okay.
They ought to have asked very tough questions, and you realize that in this country there is a provision for the State of the Nation address. The president should be coming to respond to such questions. You do not just come to greet us on parliament or on a national address.
Let me ask you, John.
Come and tell us where our resources are.
Can you just touch on what Sheila asked your story? There's certain things that he could have done differently. For example, Kokerio Valley, but his hands were tied. They were punishing him. What's your reaction?
And remember, their
statement?
lives actually lost. Is it possible that politics is played at that level where you're being punished by, Kenyans being collateral damage?
I think we all know that in this country we take everything for politics. We even don't take lives seriously, and that is why we would say this is a political thing and people are dying. It's very unfortunate. This country needs to start to look at things seriously. If Ruto meant what he was saying and he was honest about it, he would have stepped us out of this government and said, I'm trying to push for the dignity of people, I'm trying to protect the interests of Kenyans, but nobody is listening to me, so I choose not to waste public resources on myself.
All right, I'm going to play this one before you will come with your reactions right after the break, but this is what he had to say about his appetite for land.
There's public perception that associates you with a rather good appetite for acquisition of property, particularly land. And this has been mentioned many times. Questionable acquisition of land. This has been said publicly. Taita Taveta, in Transmara, the former Vice President's house, the late Joseph Murumbi, and others. In fact, there was a conviction in court with regards to 100 acres of land that you were ordered to surrender back to its rightful owner and also pay some reparations. Does this public perception affect you?
For your information, that's why I am proposing in our manifesto to deal firmly and squarely, institutionally, with a fight against corruption. Because allegations are made, left, right, and center. Any piece of land that I have is legally acquired. In fact, I think we need to discuss the Muteshi land. You've talked about the 100 acres. I was a victim of fraudulent sellers of that land. What the court ordered me to do was to pay for the 3 years I had occupied the land. And they calculated and said the income from this land would be approximately 5 million.
All right. So, gentlemen, I want you to hold that thought. We are 12 minutes into 9 a.m. Remember, Shoni Morning Vibes, and we are on Mjadala.
Have a reggae morning on Vibes Radio. This is the Modern Vibes on Vibes Radio.
We're definitely feeling hopeful as we go into that election that you're going to make the right decision. Hii ya kuambiwa cha kufanya bana hapana. Wewe fanya ile ambayo roho yako imekuambia, umesoma, umeangalia, umesema vitu zenye ambazo anaongea zinaweza badilisha maisha yangu kama Mkenya na maisha ya watu wengine ambao wanaishi hapa karibu, jirani yangu, mtoto wangu akienda shuleni, healthcare kutakaaje. Hizo ni maswali zenye unafaa kujiuliza. Na kumbuka tumesema tunapenda jirani, election bila noma. Now as we wind up Mjadala, we were having a conversation juu ya the debate that went down yesterday. And before we took the break, nimekuchezea hiyo clip ya Ruto akiongea juu ya acquisition of land. Amesema, or rather alisema, aliuziwa fraudulently. Na Wakenya wengi wameingia kwa hiyo trap.
That's a fact. I mean, Ruto is not special.
Watu wengi wameingia hiyo trap ya kuzi.
He's special. He's a deputy president. Deputy president.
Conmen are many in this country.
Hey. Kuna siku when the first time ya Orezo. Si kuna msha alijaribu kuiba dinga yake hapa Ruai.
Bede nakumbuka story.
Within minutes ikuwa imepatikana. He is not an ordinary Kenyan. Where unaweza nyang'anywa shamba. Ruto no, he does na watu wake lands. So anyway, hiyo ni mambo mengine.
Real quick. Yako?
Tuseme tu hiyo ni story.
Okay.
Ni story.
Tuseme tu hiyo ni story.
Hauamini hiyo story?
Lakini me by the way, I have a quick comment. It's Ruto victim because me naona maze perception hapa wanampaint ni kama yeye ni tu mambo ya land nini. Is it really, are we being fair in how we are perceiving the deputy president?
Ukweli, if you're involved na jina lako limetajwa na wewe mwenyewe umekubali, you're not painted.
Okay.
It is something that is out there.
Now, gentlemen, I want to give you each a minute and a half, because that's the time that we have. Kuna msana nauliza, hapo kwa hiyo area yako, mabadiliko yenye utafanya ni gani? Now, Kenneth, you're running for governor of Nairobi. We've had you on TV, but kuna Wakenya wanakusikiza sahi. What difference will you bring from tumeona Sakaja hapo, tumeona Igave, and the many other candidates that are there? What difference do you think you're bringing?
Nairobi County, I want to bring a lot accountability is going to be on the forefront. And Pia, one of my biggest thing is nataka ku make Nairobi kuwe business friendly. Nataka ku eliminate all manner of harassment. In fact, kwa administration yangu, hakuna mwanabiashara ataeko kwa garile za kanjo za kupeleka watu sijikotini. In fact, Kanjo should not have a place ya kuweka watu. They should not have arresting powers. That's a colonial move, and it's long time we did away with it. Watu wafanye biashara ziimarike, we promote businesses instead of fighting them. Ndio pia watoto wetu wapate kazi. Because vile mambo iko saa hii kama like I'll just go niseme saa hii what's happening to Keroche is wrong. Hiyo ni mambo ambayo people can sit down waongee wampatie plan to promote biashara zetu. So my biggest plan is to make Nairobi business friendly. We encourage investment, both local and outside investment, and also to toy all this manner of ya kuharas watu wafanye biashara.
Okay. Mwisio, hapo Kibra, Lindi Ward.
Exactly.
Unafanya nini?
So, like I said earlier, I'm running to be MC in Nairobi County. So that is a legislative wing of the Nairobi County. So Nairobi County needs representative from various wards. So my ward is Lindi. I want to promise them a proper representation where if we are debating and getting resources to implement projects, we are going to get that because I'm going to defend the interests of the people of Lindi. Secondly, I'm going to be that good legislator for Nairobi County. Let us have policies and informed programming. Ndio resources zetu pia ziweze kuonekana zinafanya kazi kutengeneza maisha ya mwana Nairobi. And lastly, to hold the governor who will come next accountable. So if we give you money for this program, we want to see that program run to its conclusion. But most importantly, you realize that in the slums, the question of security iko sana. And the reason why there is insecurity in most of these ghettos is because most of our young people are not engaged properly and meaningfully. So I'm going to have proper talent programs so that your talent is monetized, and that is talent from sports to arts and to creativity. And then again, an innovation hub where we attract partners and have an ICT hub in Lindi where young people could get these ICT skills and then gain full employment. Itakuwa ni kitu fit because now with proper security itamanisha other things can flourish. Mwanabiashara wa barabara mambo yake itakuwa sawa, the health sector will be good and more.
All right, thank you gentlemen for coming through. And we had an amazing conversation. Kama kuna kitu yenye tulikosa, unaweza tumia hiyo hashtag kwa Box and Kev kutuambia what we missed. Right now we're at the top of the hour. It's 9 a.m.